This is Decarbonize the World with Frank Deline, solving the climate crisis while increasing profits in your business. Here's Frank.
Thanks for joining me as I wrap up my chat with Brad Wills, the Director of Strategic Customers and Programs at Schneider Electric, and Jacob Atalla, the VP of Sustainability Initiatives at KB Home. We've been talking about their collaboration at California's Sundance at Park Circle Community, which acts as a blueprint for sustainable and resilient home building for the industry. So let's get back into it. Brad, what exactly is home energy management technology? What are some examples you can give us?
Yeah, so the framework I kind of look at there is, if you think about that load center setting in the house, right? Circuit breaker box, fuse box, whatever nomenclature you want to use for it. It's actually the last bastion of unharvested data in the house, right? So as that electricity flows through the meter, through the main breaker, and out to those branches are going somewhere and doing something, right? So it can be dedicated circuits around electric water heating in the oven and the dryer, or it can be, branch circuits feeding your outlets, and the data is there. So what we've done is actually created a very simple to implement solution that looks at, through CTs on the mains, to look at not just the total energy usage, but the energy usage of every device and appliance in the home, right? So it literally watches and learns and looks at for the sine wave, if you will, of the dishwasher versus the oven versus this and that, right? To identify those things and bring that granular information down to the homeowner, down to, quite frankly, it could be, a contractor providing service, whatever it is. And we're combining that again with our legacy mission of providing safe electricity. And so now, instead of going to the breaker box and trying to figure out which breaker tripped and why it tripped, a notification pops up and says, hey, this circuit tripped. It tripped for this reason: arc fault, ground fault, thermal overload, whatever. And in layman's terms, this is what you as the homeowner should do, and whether or not you need to have a contractor come. So again, apply that same information to the energy usage, and now we can get really smart about what's going on in the home in real time and provide that granular level of information to the homeowner. And even before we provide any capability for the homeowner to control that knowledge at that granular level induces behavior change. We see energy usage go down just through manual behavior change. Then to Jacob's earlier point, but that's not sustainable, right? You want to make it easy. We don't want them to become the facility manager. So now we're taking that information and using either smart relays, eventually smart circuit breakers, smart outlets in our wiring device lines, smart switches and dimmers, which in our line, every single one of those things is also an energy meter. And we take all of that from a holistic ecosystem to say, okay, very simply, how do you want to automate your home for energy savings? How do you want to automate your home through lighting control for security and transparency of what's going on in the house? Again, it comes back to that being able to use the data from the energy usage that's going through that load center and doing something productive with it. And the cool part is we're not adding a bunch of new parts. In fact, we're consolidating parts and pieces, and therefore not adding another piece of home tech gear to the house. We're taking something that has to be there, that's already there, and just harvesting data from it to make it more useful.
That's very interesting. So it is real AI then, real learning.
Oh, yeah.
And learning about the family and how they live. And that's really cool. Now, I'm just going to follow up on this question. With homeowners, some want to set it and forget it. There are some who are technologically savvy and want to get involved in. Do you allow them to do that in your systems?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, cool. The app is very user friendly and will allow you to drill down in real time and see how much energy is not only being used in real time at a total level, but exactly down to each individual appliance. So The data's there. It's very easy to access, and for a very interested consumer to see. And what we have found is that you have, from an overall consumer standpoint, nearly all consumers will interact with that app for the first few weeks, especially because it's just interesting to watch how it's learning and telling you, hey, we found your dishwasher, we found your oven, right? And they find that very invigorating and interesting, and they'll engage in that. And then a large portion of that is going to drop off. And they're going to be the people who are just, hey, when the app reaches out to me and tells me something's going on, great, I'll re-engage. And then to your point, there is that technophile who's just going to be enamored with it all the time, and really wants to get into it, and it absolutely allows that technophile to do that.
And Brad, I would add to that technophile is going to have more to contend with or play with, if you will, for their benefit and home's advantage. As new electric vehicles start allowing to charge the house from the batteries of the car, that's going to add to that dynamics. I mean, it can't be static, because they may have a trip next day and they do not want to take away from the car's charge or what have you. So there is more to it, and we're just stepping into that brave new world.
Exactly. I absolutely envision that, where our system will be able to, if you allow it access to your Outlook calendar, it's going to see, oh, you're going somewhere and you drive this EV. So no, we're not going to use that, or we're only going to use so much energy from that because you've got to go to the office, which is X miles away. And therefore we need to make sure you leave the house with this much charge left on your EV. So all that goes away from the consumer having to figure it out on a day-to-day basis. It just does it.
But the homeowner who does pay attention to it, he's actually learning also, because he can see the impact of electrical savings by certain things he does.
Yeah, and it's and what we have also done with this is that, for those with solar on their house, we've incorporated the ability to meter that separately, so the homeowner can not only see, here's how much I'm using, but here's how much I'm producing. And oh, by the way, here's what percentage of the time I'm net zero. So the homeowner in real time in their specific home can see how close am I getting to net zero. And if net zero is something they're motivated by, we're giving them the tools to manage that and increase the percentage of the time that their house is at a net zero status.
That's really cool. And it can show the homeowner the energy they're saving. Before meters here became digital, they had that wheel that turned around. We had a client on a sunny day, he would just go out and watch his meter turn backwards.
Yeah.
It's funny. Jacob, how is a more eco-conscious home buyer impacting the construction industry from your point of view?
Good question. And, first of all, we acknowledge your pioneering steps that you took in the Northeast. And
thank you.
Clearly, though, I'll say this. I always say this kind of statement just to provoke some thinking and maybe a laugh. Everybody loves green, but it's first and foremost the green dollar in their pocket.
Right.
That's where we start. And that's the easy conversation, is that these homes save people money. But the ones that are content knowing that this home saves money, and it's because it has less utilities, and also it's more comfortable, that's really a good start. But we do have a growing segment of home buyers that are eco-conscious, and for these, clearly they understand that they have more knowledge about things and they can research a lot about eco homes. So we do have to provide for them the proof. For us, our platform is every home we build is Energy Star certified, a voluntary program of a better home, and we always reach to that level. And from there, it's all building science based, and we try to explain that in concise ways about not just the energy efficiency, but also the comfort that happens, the healthy indoors that are a result of building science and attention to details. But then current customer is also now aware of resiliency, the need for climate action, and part of that climate action is how do I harden my home for climate change. So we talk about that as well. It's ongoing conversation. I think the consumer is learning more, and we are there to listen and provide solutions as we go along.
Yeah, something I would add there too is I think what's key is, for solutions like what we're bringing to really add value and help make that home more resilient and hardened, as Jacob says, is builders need to take the steps that KB has taken to say, hey, let's not just meet the minimum standard on how this home is insulated. Let's insulate this home so it's more operationally efficient, for example, right? Because if you don't do those things with insulation and windows and et cetera, then you're applying our technology to a hemorrhaging patient, right?
Right.
It's great. Now it's going to be very obvious how much energy you're losing because of the home wasn't built in a way to be operationally efficient, right? And then you think about, well, if we take those static products that make the home more efficient from an insulation standpoint and whatnot, we're actually extending the life of the HVAC system as well, because it's not going to be as burdened. And we can downsize that and make that a lower cost piece of equipment that not only reduces the cost of the home at the upfront build, but also when it does come time to replace that system, the homeowner's not going to have to put as large a system in, which is going to save them money, but also continue to be operationally efficient.
Absolutely. And, reducing consumption, when you add up all the homes and all the buildings, that goes up to the grid level, where the grid infrastructure is built to peak demand. So, when you can reduce peak demand for the entire grid, that's very helpful in another way what most people don't think about.
I would add to that there are two levels to it. One is the built-in permanent lowering of the load at the home. But then at the same time, then we're stepping into this smart side of it, which is the demand response and grid services that really the systems like Schneider is innovating will enable more of that reduction in load for the grid benefit with load shifting, load avoidance, shedding, all these new things that we're enjoying now from the innovation that Schneider did.
Yeah, and from the grid level, actually, there's all kinds of challenges that come up, with distributed energy where it was more centralized in the past. And even the grid has to become smarter and adapt to all of these solar panel installations around. So, yeah, it's really cool. Brad, why is home energy management technology essential in combating the challenges California homeowners face? What should other states expect to see soon?
Well, we kind of look at it and say the residential space, whether it's in California or other states, is challenged with sustainability, and quite frankly, more buyers are more conscious of sustainability, but also resiliency, because a lot of us are now working almost exclusively from home, or at least a lot more from home. And so it's one thing if I can't watch Netflix, it's a completely another thing if I can't be on my my Teams call or my Zoom call, right? To work, right? So, I think home energy management and making that home more resilient and automating the ability to switch from one electrical source to another so that folks have little to no disruption, at least in the critical things they need to do in that home, is essential. And that's going to spread because those issues of storms and grid outages are not exclusive to California. They're very obvious in California, but they're obvious in Texas. They're obvious in Tennessee, where I live. And folks are electing to say, hey, you know what? I want solar. Yeah, it's greener, and I'll take that. That makes me feel better, but I'm putting in solar and a battery for purely my primary reason is resiliency. Right. So So I think you're going to see even outside of, regulations like Title 24 in California, you're going to see consumers more and more take a choice to say, I want solar, I want battery, because of those resiliency concerns.
Right. And we're seeing more severe storms, and we're seeing the storms are creating more damage to the infrastructure when they pass through. That's equal in different ways. It's throughout the entire country, so I know in California deal with different things. In the Northeast here, we're getting hammered by these nor'east storms, these winter storms, which create a lot of damage.
The grid wasn't built for it.
Yeah. Jacob, let's talk about the changes in demands you're seeing from your consumers, especially the younger generations. How does it differ from, like me, a baby boomer?
Yeah. At KB Home, everything we do is built on relations.
Right.
Whether that's a relationship with our customer, or it's a relationship with innovators and suppliers like Schneider. Of course, with the municipalities where we build and the communities where we operate as well. But focusing in on our customers, the younger customers, we're a first-time home buyer and first move-up buyer builder. Most of over 50% of our the homes we build are are sold to first-time home buyers. So that generation of first-time home buyers are really concerned about the future, whether it is from a sustainability perspective or the affordability perspective. It's a combination of both. And for us, we always endeavor to balance between affordability and sustainability. So we first have to address that with them, give them a home without them asking for additions or extras. This is a very sustainable, environmentally friendly home to EPA Energy Star standards. And from there, we can also show them that the initial price of the home is within the affordability based on how we design and build these homes. And then also show them that the total cost of ownership following their purchase is also going to be easy on their family finances. So the demand from the young buyers is to give them a better future that's also affordable, that they can afford. And truly, we find that through relationships, as we've been talking about today with Schneider and others.
Very cool. And for these, especially these first home buyers, it's really important. I remember when I bought my first home. I mean, we were really reaching. But when you build a home that is reducing electrical consumption, the whole life cycle cost of the building, it's reducing those costs. It makes it more affordable for these people also.
Yes, and adds to the resilience of the home. We know from research that was done after the Great Recession that we had, we know that homes that are energy efficient were less likely to default on their mortgage. There is documented research about that from North Carolina universities in North Carolina. And I believe also Freddie Mac did an analysis on that as well. Think about also the monies that are saved. There are more spendable money that a household spends within their community, again, making the community more resilient. So I think it's all for a better future. Absolutely.
And there's been studies that have been done to show that even on the resale of green homes, it's in excess of, I believe it's 10% greater price that you could get for your home when you sell it, which is very cool. So Brad, Jacob, thank you for being on this podcast. I learned something. I hope everybody else does. I really enjoyed this. Before you go, could you guys talk to me a little bit about how we can learn more, what Schneider's doing and what KB Home is doing?
Yeah, sure. So for Schneider, we have a whole dedicated site to connected home. So if you just Google Schneider Electric connected home, it'll pop right up and you can go and see everything you want to learn about the full solution that we developed and implemented at the Sundance community.
And your audience can also learn about the KB Home sustainability journey at kbhome.com/sustainability.
Awesome. Thank you for being on.
Thank you. We enjoyed it as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. That was Brad Wills from Schneider Electric and Jacob Atalla from KB Home. And that's it for another episode of Decarbonizing the World. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, make sure you take a second to subscribe so you'll automatically get my new shows when they drop. Also, if you have a minute, I'd love if you left a review so more folks like yourself can discover the show. Until next time, take care.
This has been Decarbonize the World with Frank Deline. To connect with Frank and to learn more about clean energy, reducing fossil fuels, and increasing profits, go to frankdeline.com. Decarbonize the World is a production of Advantage Audio.